As a salesperson, why is it you're completely out of excuses for not closing deals moving forward? I'm Scott Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Honolulu, Oahu on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you on video number 2000 on my YouTube channel. So here's the thing. When I got first started in sales in 2002, there was very few ways for me to learn how to be a better salesperson. I could go to a coworker and say, hey, could you role play with me? I could buy a book and I could read a book. I could pay a couple $100 for a class, travel out of town, take the class, learn that way, or I could buy a course and learn from the course, or sometimes I had to be really resourceful and I had to email the person who put all that information together and ask them questions after I got a hold of their publicist and I dug up an email address. So like in today's day, you got digital media, you got social media, you can find somebody pretty much immediately. You can find the person that you need immediately and you can gather information. You could go to the internet and you could type in the Google sales training, sales skills, sales techniques, sales closing, and millions of things are going to come up for you. 20 years ago, that really didn't happen. There was bulletin boards, there was some websites, but it's not like as prolific as it is today. And so, I'll hear salespeople say, hey, look, Scott, I don't know, how to get better at what I do. And I'm like, really? Well, go to the internet and type some stuff up in the internet. You can find blogs, you can find content that way. That's one way. You could go to YouTube. YouTube, every minute of the day, has between 400 and 500 hours of content uploaded every minute of the day. 400 to 500 hours every minute. There is something out there for your sales skills. And you're like, hey, Scott, that still doesn't do it for me. Okay, there's podcasts. As of today, there's somewhere between 750,000 and 1 million podcasts. There's something in there for sales training for you. So when it comes down to it, you are truly out of excuses. Let's just say for whatever reason, that's not good enough. You can find a coach or a mentor. You could use Skype. You could use Zoom. You could use GoToMeeting. You could use GoToWebinar. You could get a hold of somebody some way to have a conversation about what needs to get done. And like sometimes people will say, hey, Scott, you know what? You seem like a cool guy, but I really don't like how you shoot your videos. I'm like, great. Okay. You don't like me. There's plenty of other trainers to learn from. Like, I'm going to name off a couple of people. First, you got Victor Antonio. Victor Antonio, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Awesome dude. Love him. Loves to wear orange. Used to be engineer. He's got an engineer background, so he brings it to the sales process, right? Okay, you could say, hey, Scott, I don't like Victor Antonio. I want something a little bit different. Okay, you can look up Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer based out of Dallas, Texas. Awesome dude. Met him a couple of times, taken classes from him. I like Ryan. He curses. He's got tattoos. He's a great trainer. You're like, hey, Scott, I don't like that. Okay, well, there's Grant Cardone. I don't know if I like Grant Cardone. Okay, well, I'm going to name some people that you've never heard of. You got Gary May out of the UK. Funny dude, saw him in 2008. He said stuff and done stuff that I've never seen other sales trainers, persuasion trainers do ever. Gary May. You go, hey, Scott, I don't like Gary May. He's got a British accent, okay? All right, cool. How about Tom Vizzini? Tom Vizzini, persuasioncoach.com. Easy guy to find. Atlanta, Georgia, too. Right, teaches you how to anchor. They tell you there's a phrase that when it comes down to it, people buy on emotion and justify with logic. He teaches you how to anchor and how to lock that feeling in, and it really does help you out. You're like, oh, Scott, I don't know. Well, you can go old school. You can look up Tom Hopkins. He's got content. You can look up Ziglar. He's got content. You can look up Chet, Holmes. All these people. But what it really comes down to is, I find this happens a lot, is it's easier to find reasons to complain than it is to do. And the struggle for a lot of salespeople is they get caught up in looking for reasons why they can't close a deal. And they want to blame the content, they want to blame the trainer because it's uncomfortable. And your job as a salesperson is to step outside of your comfort zone. Your job as a salesperson sometimes is to get the buyer to step outside of their comfort zone and do what needs to be done. Right? And so people will come to me like, I've got all sorts of adversity, I've got all sorts of problems, I've got all sorts of drama. And I'm like, great, because most salespeople are lazy and they don't want to live through that. That adversity is something that helps you out. Like, people look around, they're like, I don't want adversity. I'm like, then you're not really going to learn at the pace that you can. You can read books as much as you want, and you can go after as much content from reading a book as you want. But at the end of the day, what really makes you better is living through problems and living through issues. And like, it does give you the ability to relate to people a little bit easier when they've got a similar problem. But you just can't go, hey, I've had that problem too, and I've got that issue too. So you as a salesperson, you are completely, like real deal, out of excuses and out of reasons why you can't close sales. And sometimes what it's going to come down to is you are going to have to invest your own money, because when it comes down to it, it's you against you in sales. It's not you against me. It's not you against the other salesperson. It's you versus you and how you're going to get better. It's you versus you on what you're going to do to find the magic key to get you to be a closer. And I see salespeople, they fall for this trap. They fall for this trap of saying, if I go after it, I can lose and I might lose some money. Well, like, congratulations, that's business. That's how it is. To get better at sales, you're gonna have to be uncomfortable. To get better at sales, you're gonna have to ask better questions. To get better at sales, you're gonna have to ask better or tell better stories. But here's the thing. You really don't have any excuses. Not just because I have 2,000 videos on YouTube. You have all this technology out there. AI is coming. It's going to make things a lot easier for you in some aspects, make it a whole lot more difficult. But for you, you've got to find a reason to stay in the game. You've got to find a reason to be better at what you do and make that commitment that I'm going to do everything I can. If it is to be, it's up to me. I'm going to be a closer. I'm going to do everything I can to close sales. Instead of looking for excuses to bounce out of sales calls, look for reasons to stay in. Instead of looking for excuses to not have a trainer, find somebody, right? Ask. And so I get it. Like, sometimes money's tight. You're a salesperson. Your job is to figure out how to make something happen. Sometimes people will take you on graciously and they'll say, hey, look, I'll give you tuition. I'll pay for your class. I'll pay for you to come on. I'll pay for my training for you, but you better do something with it. But here's the thing. On the back end, you're going to have to do the same thing. On the back end, it's going to be your job to treat somebody the same exact way and pay for their tuition. And hey, if that's what it comes down to, there's nothing wrong with that. That's an agreement between you and the salesperson who's coaching you and giving you that money for free and giving you that ability to learn and to go out and do stuff. You know, I have a whole library at my home, but I got a rule. If you want to learn from the library, you have to go learn at the library. You don't get to check books out and leave with it because I'll never see the book again. There's people who are willing to do that for you too. So it's you against you in sales. You're completely out of excuses. You just got to find and settle in and say, I'm going to do it. And make that commitment for yourself that I'm going to be the best at what I do. And make that commitment that, like, no matter how hard it gets, I'm going to find a way around it. And make that commitment that I'm going to find a coach or I'm going to find a mentor, because I know that it's me against me. It's not me against all the other salespeople. It's not me against all the other people out there that are out there, you know, price matching and discounting. It's me against me, just like it's you against you, okay? So I really believe that you can do it as a salesperson. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some perseverance. You're going to get your face kicked in a couple of times. But remember, there's a benefit to that. You learn that way. A mentor can coach you through only so much. A coach can only coach you through so much. And then you have to live through it and learn how to adjust on your own. And there you go. I mean, you could call them afterwards and say, hey, I'm struggling. What would you have done differently? That's something you can do. But most salespeople are not willing to do it because they're afraid that they're going to look dumb or silly in front of somebody else. The best closers that I know call me all the time. Hey, Scott, I was on this call. Here's the scenario. Here's what I did. What do you think? And I talk it through them, and they're like, hey, that's what I was thinking too, or that's what I did, or hey, Scott, thanks for your perspective. Okay? You are completely out of excuses for not closing deals from here on forward. There's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of things that you can do to be better and be fantastic. I believe in you. I know you can do it. Now, you got one thing to do from here, just one thing. Find the subscribe button and click on it. Every time I send out a video, you will get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out a video. You should check it out, which you should. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.